Good morning, everyone. We are excited to be here with our BulaFit Challenge fitness coach and health coach, Kristi Nelson. We're appreciative of her and her time. We're appreciative of her being her willingness and sacrifice to help us as we go through this challenge. And my name is Todd Smith. I'm one of the owners and founders at Top Shelf Nutra. And we are excited to be able to partner with Kristi. We're excited for what she's been doing for us through this process in this challenge. I know it's made a difference for me and many others. And so I'm not going to take any more time. I'll get out of the way, Kristi, and turn this over to you for what you have to share with us this week. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for having me on here today. And good morning to everyone. I'm so excited to see you. And later on, I'm going to get to see your faces. So I'm excited about that too. Last week, after we had our chat, I went ahead and posted new videos out. So now you've got I think it's the power phase, or I can't remember which one I just posted, but I've got a new set of movements out there for you. This one is more intense. This one is a circuit. So you're working through those movements, movement to movement to movement to movement. And I added a high march in between so that you keep the body going and the heart rate elevated. So it's a different little kind of workout, but this is progressive, right? So if that one's not quite right for you yet, go back to those others. Stay in the simple, basic movements. And I think that that's great too. Pick 4 movements out of any of the groups that we've posted so far, and then go ahead and put those into a movement kind of routine. The other thing I think I'm going to start doing too is I'll just start dropping the like creating what I would call a movement library for you. So I'm going to drop in videos with a description of what that movement is, show you the beginner, moderate, and then the advanced type of style of doing that complete movement. So that way, as you become more educated and more informed about movement and about what your body needs, then you can customly put together things that make sense for you. And I think that that's a great way to do this. A couple of things. Our pillar of health this week is finally movement. That makes me super excited. So we're talking about movement today in our movement Friday Feel Good, and that's great. A couple of things about movement. If you're not doing any, do something, right? When we started these challenges in the past, there was a particular person that was a member that started at the same time I did as a participant. And that person was over 300 pounds and really immobile and full of pain and inflammation and just not really capable of doing a whole lot as far as movement went. And it started with taking a lap around the kitchen table and walking around the kitchen table and sitting back down. And then next time it was 2 times. And then when he had more energy, he increased that, right? Into the space where he was able to do those things. So it's not like start from the couch today and run the marathon next Friday. That's not how we do this at all. If we don't stay at just the right challenge, JRC, that's something trainer talk, right? If we don't stay in that space of just the right challenge, for one, I'm going to end up with you feeling like you can't do this, you're not capable. It's going to be demotivating instead of motivating. And that's why I want you to be inspired to do movement and to get to the space where your body and your mind desire that feeling, right? And so if we do it in this place where we start with the kind of just natural movements, functional movements, and build that strength till the core is strong, the range of motion is great, mobility and stability are there, you've got good balance. Those things are what's important in this. If you're not training for some sort of event or some sort of particular intentional reason, then functional strength is really, really key. It's important to not fall down. It's important to be able to catch yourself if you lose your balance. It's important to be able to get to the floor and get back up. It's important to be able to pick things up and put them up over your head, right? Like boxes or luggage so that we can travel and do fun things. It's important to be able to go up and down stairs. It's important to be able to sit down properly, because I know this, you have to go to the bathroom for the rest of your life. So if we can put some of that functional intention and this good balance into what we do in every day, things show up a little bit differently, right? Things show up a little bit with more ease. It's not about endurance training or doing who can jump the highest or run the farthest anymore. It's just about how do I have what I need to be able to do the things that I love to do or things that I need to do and have to do throughout the day. So that's why I'm starting with some basic stuff. I'm going to show you, and I have been in this last segment, I dropped into the comments what the different modifications might be, right? So if you're not capable of doing it at the level that is on the tile, then I've shown you how to either regress it or progress it to the other side, and then somewhere in between, right? So the one thing I want to mention is if you feel like you're not sure if you're doing it right, or you're not sure if this feels right, if you're safe, please don't hesitate to raise your hand. Either drop it into the Facebook page itself so that everyone can see, or into the chat group, or just say, directly message me so that I can give you some feedback. Susan and I have been on chats before, or on video calls, Susan from Las Vegas, and I've been watching her do movements, or I've been guiding her through movements and then watching her do them, right? So this is something that I can do for you if that's something that you need. Because it's not about practice being perfect or making perfect, right? We've heard that saying before, practice makes perfect. That's not really true in movement. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if we're not in good form, or we don't have the proper posture, or our breathing isn't correct, it's hard to do the thing correctly or proficiently. And that's really what we want, is proficiency in the space of movement. The corrective exercise space, and I'm a certified corrective exercise specialist. The corrective exercise space says if I cannot get you to breathe correctly, I cannot give you weight. So that's the first thing. Start there. Deep breathing. Put the hand on the chest and one on the belly, and then get that breath to come all the way down to your tummy area, past the chest, so that the diaphragm expands. One of the things about diaphragmatic breathing is that it will help align the spine. So you might feel a little bit of popping and crickling and things moving back into the right place. And that's absolutely correct. That's what we want. So it starts there. And then it really is, where is my alignment in my body, right? So is my neck up over my shoulders? Is my shoulders balanced over my rib cage? Is my rib cage centered over my hips? And this is where I'm going to turn the phone on. So give me a second. I can show you a different angle here. So if I'm here, right, where's my head? Is my head up over my shoulders? Are my shoulders centered? Are my ribs centered and heart, right? Am I balanced up over my hips? Are my hips in interior position, or am I flexed in here, or do I stand up nice and tall? Is my ear aligned with my jaw, aligned with my shoulder, to my hip, to my knee, to my ankle, to my foot? And the weirdest thing about it too is that if my big toe is out, my jaw might be out. So it starts from the bottom, and it's how I stand. I'm sure you've seen the guy when you're out grocery shopping and he stands and he's got super tight calves, his quads are really tight, his glutes are flexed in, his chest is rolled forward, his arms are flexed here, and his head sticks out this way, right? And then when he walks, he can barely move, and he bends kind of from the knees as he's walking through the store. And that's a problem, right? That's a posture thing. So what I got to do is get him to put his head back up. Every 1 degree forward is an extra 10 pounds of pressure on my spine. So if I've got my head flips forward, I'm already creating a problem. So from there, do I roll my shoulders back? And now my chest is up high, my head is back. And when I rolled my shoulders back, all of my back muscles just engaged. So now I have help standing up tall, right? And that's important. On the other side of that, if I have broken arches or fallen arches or plantar fasciitis, flat feet, I don't have the support from the ground up to put my posture in the right place there. So I'm rolling in and my knees might be kissing, and I want to just straighten that back up. So the first thing you might need to do is buy a new pair of shoes, right? Even just for walking, so that you've got all the support and all that you need, especially if you're dealing with things like neuropathy, right? So supporting through the arches, that drives the foot into the correct position. Now all of a sudden my ankles are in the proper position, stacked up over my foot, over my heel, up into my knees supporting the hips, right? If you have problems in the knee, it could be because of the foot. If it's dropping, you might be doing this to hold yourself up. You might be pulling way up in the shoulders, and now we're creating a lot of tension in here. So where are we at with posture, right? And that's just something to think about every single day, especially as you're going through your health journey. Look in the mirror and see, are you standing up straight and tall? That power stance, or that, when you're saying your power statement, get into that power stance. That Superman pose, right? That standing up tall with the chest up high and you're really super proud of yourself. That's something to practice, because that helps you get into that posture and it makes it feel like it's natural. So that through the aging process, you're not dealing with things like atrophy and then bone density issues and osteoporosis. And now we look like this, right? So if anything, every day I want you to practice standing up tall and getting those deep breaths all the way to your belly. Okay, that's a great place to start. All right. See, there was a method to my madness. I don't know if I'll get back up. There it is. Okay, so I like to talk about that. Let's talk about things like how many steps a day do I get? Or how often should I exercise? Or should I do this 7 days a week? When do I take a rest, right? Because rest and recovery are super important in movement also. Get your Java. Anyway, so as far as that goes, if you're not in the practice of movement, my first suggestion is walking, simple walking, whether it's indoors, but my preference would be outdoors. And it could be as simple as down the street and back to the driveway or down the driveway to the mailbox and back. Just pick somewhere to start. And then every day, increase it by 10 steps, right? 10 steps forward and then 10 more coming back until you're getting to a space that's awesome. 6,500 steps is what they would tell you as far as staying out of a pre-diabetic place in the health space, right? So those are some numbers that I can share. 10,000 steps would equal a workout, like a cardio workout in a day. But we've talked about in the past in another chat how Mr. Mike in Las Vegas is a custodian, and sometimes he gets up to 25,000 steps in a day, and that is his normal. So that does not count as physical activity for him. If he wanted more steps to count as a workout, he'd have to get another 65 to 10,000 steps in. And I don't think that that's a good idea either, right? So want to make sure that you're being in a safe space. And something to think about is this: overuse is a thing too. So if you're not used to exercising and then every day you're trying to push yourself, pretty soon things are going to get sore and tight and a little less mobile. So my recommendation is walk outside to start there. The fresh air and the sunshine are amazing for things in the body that you need, like fresh air is amazing for the body, right? But the sunshine out there helps us, especially if you live in cold places, helps us with things like seasonal depression, right? So when the days are shorter and the sunshine's not out as long and it's cold, I tend to stay inside. And then I don't get the things from the sunshine that I need, like helping building up my testosterone and my vitamin D, or the things that I need to fortify my body that I can create personally. But if I don't get that sunshine, that's not going to happen. So if nothing else, bundle up in the warmest part of the day, get outside and get a little bit of a walk done, and then come in. The next day, take a rest, and then walk again, take a rest. So every other day until this is a pattern of regular movement for you. There's something called active rest also. Active rest could be yoga or stretching or cleaning my house with a little bit more intention, right? Getting my heart rate up. It's not a workout. It's not heavy lifting. It's not anything like, going to the gym. It's just active rest. So I could do things like a massage. I could do red light therapy. I could do some stretching, like I said, or yoga. Yoga is not going to be intensive, right? Another thing is I could get a skin treatment, or I could do something for self-love or self-care for myself. And those things are really important too. Rest, we will all want to take at least 1 day to 2 days of full rest in the week. And that's limited activity, right? That's being intentional about being quiet and still and just calm and just focused on the inside. Maybe it's a lot of time with creator or whatever your belief is, right? So get into that space, get into that practice. Like I talked about, recovery is super important, and I'll talk about more of this next week, but recovery is super important in movement, not just about the time that you spend not doing movement between movements when you are moving, but the effects that it has on the central nervous system overall, right? So we want to make sure that not only do we rest in the periods that I am recommending, I'm being prescriptive about your rest periods, but that you're intentional about the rest. When I'm teaching those heavy lift classes on Saturday mornings, I specifically say to them, peach in the seat. And what that means is I need you to sit down and be calm and no movement at all while you're in that rest period. And so what that does is when you're moving, your muscles fibers are expanding. And sometimes if you're under a weight load, they could rip and tear. And that's okay. That's how they grow. But the minute that you stop, blood and water rush to the area because they start to recover. They got work to do so that that can start to either grow or heal, right? So that's what that's for. We got to give that time to happen. Then it needs some time without tension, without any kind of strain to relax so it can get prepared to do the next set of movement. Okay, so that's why it's important in that space. At the end of it, it's super important that you do that cool down. A lot of people I see at the gym or working out, they get done with all their movements, they get all their stuff, and they head out their door. You got to take some time to breathe. That breathing that we practice, that diaphragmatic breathing where you're getting the belly to expand, excellent. Spend 2 minutes of doing that, if nothing else, right? You can lay on the floor or get into a laying position on the couch. And I want you to elevate your legs at 90 degrees. So 90 up from the hips and 90 degrees out at the knees. And you're just going to lay there and breathe. Time yourself for 2 minutes. It's hard, if you think about it, it's hard to get 2 minutes of stillness into your life in this crazy busy world that we live in. One time I was having a conversation and someone suggested I do this. And I was thinking about my schedule. They said, when do you think you can schedule that? 2 minutes of nothing, of quietness. And they said, if you can't get through the 2 minutes, you have to start over. This was a task for me. I have ADHD, so my brain slowing down and my brain stopping is not something that I am very good at controlling, but I've gotten better at it. So I was like, in about 3 weeks. And they looked at me and said, Kristi, it's going to take you 3 weeks to have 2 minutes of quiet time. And when you think about that, that might be your life too, right? So building in that time for space and rest and quiet is really important. Being able to quiet the body so I can isolate just one area or one group of muscles, that's important too. So we have to learn to do that so that we can maximize the potential when we are doing movement. So those are some key things I have to share with you. I wanted to talk about your shoes. I want to talk about your bed also. A bed needs to be, your mattress needs to be switched out about every 8 to 10 years. They just don't have the integrity and the support that you need. And if, depending on the position that you sleep on, when we're sleeping, we're in a hold of a position for one of the longest periods of time in the day, right? Especially if you get to deep sleep. When the body's in deep sleep, it's in a state of paralysis. So I'm literally stuck in whatever position I'm sleeping in for a period of time. And over time, that can cause problems in the back, in the spine, in the hips, in the legs. Okay, so it can affect joints. So do a little assessment. Assess when you got shoes last, and maybe you get a new pair. Maybe that's your treat yourself this weekend or this month. And then think about a mattress. When was the last time? If you haven't flipped it in a while, maybe you need to do that, right? Cartwheel it or spin it so that you get through all four sides of the mattress so that you've got good support, because that's huge. All right. Those are some tips and keys I have for you today about movement. Todd, I want to open up for questions. I see we've got some others that have joined us since we started. So good morning, ladies. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Anything so far? Todd, how about you?
I don't have any questions, but it sounds like I need to flip my mattress. It's been a while on the mattress, and I actually don't have very good running shoes, so these are good tips for.
Excellent. I'm glad that there were some takeaways in there. That arch support thing is huge. Even if you don't get new tennis shoes, right? Maybe you get some good arch support, some good insoles. So, and to see if that makes a difference. Sometimes it's just looking at yourself in the mirror and deciding, if I were to draw a line at my shoulders, are they level? If I did it at my chest, is it level, or am I doing this, right? Is there some sort of imbalance here where I'm trying to compensate for something in movement? So look at that and then notice a difference if you get those insoles, right? I just suggested that to one of my newer clients who was dealing with something, it's affecting hip, knee, ankle, all on one side. Said one of the first things I think we need to do is put some insoles in the shoes or get some new shoes. So you got some very good supportive shoes and you put them in. And then the next time he came in, he said, do you notice a difference? Yes, absolutely. Shoulders are here instead of here like they were last week. So I knew he had done something different, but it makes a difference in how you walk, makes a difference in if you trip and stumble, right? The last thing I'm going to talk about is foot health as far as movement goes. If you have a hard time doing a pedicure for yourself, or you've got some nail overgrowth. Maybe it's a trip to the podiatrist. And through the aging process, it gets a lot harder to take care of our feet because of mobility and balance and fear of falling and all of those things. And just quite honestly, it's hard to get your foot back up so you can see it, right? So that you can see what you're doing so you don't injure yourself or cut yourself or do something that could be detrimental. Also, if you've got, health conditions that you've been contending with in the past that you're getting through right now, you might have problems if you cut your foot and you don't know about it, right? So it's just super important that your foot care is taken is made a priority and you take good care of them. Okay, it affects your balance, your mobility, causes pain. It just can be a real problem. And one thing that I noticed too, if you're dealing with a lot of inflammation and your feet are swollen, you might be buying bigger shoes, right? And the bigger shoes can cause tripping hazards or makes it harder to get your toes up off the floor so that you're not dragging them and stumbling. So, make sure that your foot is taking care of, your feet are in good health as well. One of the things that I heard once that made it was like a light bulb for me. A really good doctor would check your feet, right? They would check your feet because your foot could tell you a lot of things about your health. There's got to be something to the Chinese practice, right, of reflexology, where we have related certain parts of the body to the bottom of our feet. And so if you're noticing something, it could be a telltale sign of something that you don't know about, that you're not seeing. So pay attention. I say this in the class all of the time. Pay attention. Feel your feet. Find your feet, right? Ground them into the ground. You can root in, and that's a source of energy. That's a source of stability. You're not walking on top of this earth. You're a part of it, right? So find your big toe and your pinky toe and round through your foot. Find the two back corners of your heels and make sure that you're good and planted and you're rooted in, and just connect with that, connect with the ground so that you feel the stability. You feel the earth as you're walking. Roll the foot from the heel to the toe. And if you're going backwards from the toe to the heel, right? That foot placement is huge. Doing things like farmer's carries or walking up and down the hall with a little bit of weight. Think about when you go to the grocery store and you come back and you've got all the groceries. You're not coming back out to the trunk again, right? And you load it all up. The next time you do that on the way to the house, I want you to practice some heel to toe walking, right? Where you go toe up to the heel. I'm sorry, heel up to the toe, heel up to the toe, heel up to the toe. You're going to notice that maybe you've got a balance challenge, especially if you're holding weight. So one of the first things you can do is kick out to the side and tap your toe so that it'll catch your balance, right? And then come back to center. So I want you to think about those things. I think maybe I'll drop a couple videos too, just about walking, about some tandem walking and that heel to toe walking, and then some different variations of that. That's excellent to practice. Now, let's say you don't have a lot of space to get that done, a farmer's carry. You can go 4 steps forward, get a little of a march in or a pedal, 4 steps back, little march or a pedal again, 4 times back and forth, 4 times. You just got through a farmer's carry. So limited space really isn't an issue either. If I had to do it in a seat, I could pedal and then high march and bring my knees up here. It's hard to see that, but I bring them up here, right? And then pedal my feet for 4, like I'm riding a bike. So maybe that's something that you start with too, from a chair. Todd.
So there are a couple of questions or comments in the chat. Susan, as you know, has injured her Achilles, and so she's got a big cast on her lower part of her leg and foot, and so she was saying she's off balance right now. Which I mean, I would be too. So with a big cast, but maybe a couple of suggestions for her, for all of us to know, what do we do when we are in a place where we can't use one of our limbs, right? Because
Sure.
oftentimes when someone goes in a cast or a splint for a period of time, whether it's on a leg or an arm or a hand, they get out of kilter because of the weight of it, because they try to compensate, and then they end up with a post repair injury. So maybe some suggestions there.
For Susan, I absolutely would suggest starting in a chair. If you do not have the capability to stand and do movements, we do them in a seated position, okay? And for Susan, it would be imperative for her to build some quad strength, or the top of her legs here up by between the hips and the knees. So to sit and do some marching here so that she can help to build that That's going to help for when she is able to stand up or when she is standing up to help her keep her balance. Now, the truth about the body is it's going to build a pattern of compensation for her because she's in the cast. So whatever leg is casted, the other leg is going to tend to do the work and the body's going to shift. The bigger problem too is as Susan gets better and she's healing, the body does not shift back to balance. So now she's going to be stuck in this compensation even when she's healed. So what she's got to do is make sure that we focus on balance and coming back to balance in that place too. But starting with things here so that she's got some other movement, right? Up and out, maybe to keep the hips mobile. She can do things like that where she's not having to really put pressure on that leg. Lifting the leg with the cast is going to be maybe a little bit less because of the weight of the cast, right? The other part of it too is keeping her really nice and mobile on the upside and then building maybe a little bit of strength through the biceps and the triceps and maybe through the shoulders so that she can have some more strength up top to help her with things like pushing up out of the chair to be able to then position herself correctly so that she can lean forward and stand up, right? So it's really then thinking about the mechanics behind each movement so that you can do them in a place of stability versus compensation. And then we're getting new patterns or we lose our balance and fall down. It just causes new challenges, right? So being safe in that space, being able to rotate. Maybe you're tapping your elbows on the back of the chair, right? Reaching up overhead, over to the side, out and in. Also, being able to pivot the feet out so that you could reach something on the floor without feeling like you're going to fall forward, right? So I would pivot, start with my feet together. I'm going to go a toe, heel, toe pivot out. Now I've got a greater strength of stability, right? And I can reach down a little bit. And this would be a good one to practice too, especially as she gets to a place of being able to bear weight into that foot. Right. For now, you want to make sure that you're pushing down through the foot that's capable to be able to push back to standing or sitting upright. One thing I want to offer, Todd, I think that this would be appropriate. There's a program out there that is accessible to people 65 and older, but the great news is that they have a YouTube channel. Okay, so it's Silver Sneakers. Silver Sneakers is a program out there for people with Medicaid. It's intentionally designed for people 65 and older. I happen to be Silver Sneakers certified. I taught my 100th Silver Sneakers class yesterday. That was super fun. But the thing in there that I love the most is the community, right? So I've got these amazing people. It's like Cocoon, if you've ever seen that movie. When they come in, they're a little less mobile. They're a little bit, because things are hard. By the time we leave, they're active and they're smiling and we're engaged in full conversations. And it's this beautiful thing in my life. So the Silver Sneakers has a YouTube channel and you could go out there anytime, especially if the weather is bad or if you just don't get the chance to get out and get away from the home to be able to do movement. And if that is the reason that you're not doing movement, then this is something that can help with that, right? Go ahead.
Yes, so Elaine mentioned in the comments also that she's getting a little bit of cabin fever because of the cold weather outside, wanting to get out. You have some suggestions for when we can't get out because it's too cold? What can we do?
Yes. This is a great segue to that. So that YouTube channel has anything from a 5-minute little segment to up to 20 or 30, right? For cardio, or you could type in hip mobility and it's going to populate a library too. Those are excellent videos because we do not get down on the floor. Okay, so it's in a chair or standing. They use light weights. They use bands similar to what we use in our program, what we have capability of. And I think that it's a great place to start because the intention is the knowledge behind the program is that you probably are not able to do a whole lot, right? So I have to be super safe in that space. But I think it's a great way to do the simple things. Do the farmer carry, right? Go somewhere and do some walking. Go to the mall, go to Target. Maybe you don't need anything, but just do a little bit faster pace. Walk through every aisle, right? So park a little bit farther away. Know this though, you're going to wear heavier clothing. You're going to be under layers. You might be perspiring by the time you get to the door, but challenge yourself each day. Something more than nothing is progressive. right? So if I do a little bit more than I was doing yesterday, then I'm making strides towards progress. And that's really all it's about. Every week, it's going to be a little bit more. And from now on, because we've gotten through the tiles, I think I've got one left to drop. I've got all the videos. I just need to write the recipes for movement. That's what that's become. But I'll drop that, and then I'm going to start getting into just basic core movements. Like I said, I'll build the movement library so that you can go out there and pick and choose. Maybe you just want to do 2 or 3 things from the movement library. You do them 3 or 4 times in the number of repetitions that have been prescribed for that movement, and now you got it done. And like I said before, if nothing else, do the squats, right? We talked about the squat challenge in one of our earlier calls. And maybe you don't get 100 done. Maybe you just start somewhere, but it's maybe 10 here and 5 there and 15 over there and 20 before bed, right? So set a benchmark and then work for progress in 30 days from there. If you're not at a certain number, set your target and then work to getting there in the 30 days by adding 1 or 2 more repetitions each day. The squats thing in particular, if we get to squats, and I'll talk about form in a minute, but if we get to the squat challenge thing, what you're looking for there is we're moving our largest muscle groups, your rear end, your glutes, and your quads, your legs between the knees and the hips, are your largest muscles. And so if we get those moving, especially in the beginning of this, we'll burn through what they call glycogen stores, fat stores in those areas, in those large muscle areas, and we'll get to fat loss a little bit faster. So that's one of the reasons why I start with the squat challenge, especially if you're not close to me, or those farmer carries, or just walking, that alternating walking indoors or outdoors every other day until it becomes more routine. And then here's one more thing I want to talk about: nutrition behind movement. Okay. If you're doing cardio is okay fasted without food. If you are doing a weight loaded movement program or any kind of movement with weights, we have to have some nutrition. So maybe you grab your shake and you're drinking that on your way in, or you're having a little more carbs than you do in the day right before that. The thing about that is, here's when I tell you to eat a banana. Some of us really love bananas, but we don't do that anymore because of the carb count, right? But if I did it right before a workout, that the carbs and the fruit sugars, I'm never going to actualize those in my body. It's not something that I would need to put on my recording because I'm going to burn through it all through my workout. That's going to give me the fuel to get through the workout so that I'm not halfway through the workout and I just have worked through all my energy stores and now I'm feeling really fatigued, right? In the fatigue state, that's when muscles hurt more on the recovery side. You got a little less power. You're not able to finish. You might even feel woozy. You could even pass out. So we don't want to get to that state, right? So that's the rule. You can do cardio fasted, but if you are under weight load, you have to have some nutrition. Okay. Now, when you get done with movement, this is when I want you to eat, right? When you get done, people think, oh, now I got to behave and be good. No, this is where I want you to get your caloric intake. You've got an anabolic state. You're in an anabolic state after your workout. Then you've got 30 minutes up to 2.5 hours where the body is really in need of nutrients, especially high on the protein side, right? Protein efficiency is key here. So think about how you had the fuel on the front side to fuel the workout. Now I want you to get the meal on the back side to fuel the recovery. If not, then I'm trying to grow muscles and recover my body from what I have internally. And that's like trying to grow my garden from the soil that's out there without taking care of it, right? By giving it nutrition and water and the things that it needs, the essential stuff, right? So same thing for your body. If we are trying to convert fat from fat to muscle, or add muscle, or do any kind of exchange here, we have to make sure that we're eating. And a lot of times when I get into a nutrition space, the first thing we talk about is eating better, not eating more, not eating a lot, right? But eating better. And so what Jennifer is putting out there in front of you, those recipes and those meals, the fat content is right, the balance is correct, they're delicious. Why would you not want to eat them? That's restaurant quality food every single time. When I went through my extreme weight loss, I would have a person stop at my desk and make comments to me about it a lot, about what was I eating. One day he even stopped and he said, eat something. I finally had gotten tired of that and I took pictures of the meals that I'd had in the last 7 days. Most of them were from Jennifer's cookbook or in our lifestyle of eating. And I pulled up the pictures and I said, you probably should eat like I do. This is what I've had for the last 7 days. That got his attention. He made some changes and he started following the keto diet just like I was. So you just never know. You just never know who's watching you. You never know who's listening. So just be an example of living a good lifestyle. People know that you were how you were before. And when they make comments to you as you're coming into health, remember they weren't there scolding you or telling you anything about what you were eating before. So just remember that this is a personal journey and that not everyone is going to be in alignment with that. And when people see you succeed, there's something that happens inside of them that makes them kind of resent that they don't do the same thing for themselves. So if that happens, invite them to come with us. Invite them to be like, you know what? Actually, the key to my success is that I found this really great community and it's robust, right? It's got everything I need all in one spot. And I've been leaning in and getting some guidance, and things are changing for me. This doesn't have to be about a diet and a movement and a this and a that and a thing that you eat and a drink that you drink, right? This has to be about decisions that you made to live a healthy lifestyle. We've talked about the linear thing, and this is circular, right? This is how do we get the lifestyle so we can continue doing this thing forever. And what we notice is when we do it together, it's better. And so why would you change that, right? Just invite more people so this thing gets bigger. That's what I have to say. Any other questions that I didn't see, Todd? Anything else I should address?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, and that's it for this week. Let's wrap it up. Like I said, I'll drop some things. I'm going to listen to the replay. I'll pull out some key things and post some new stuff for you. I'm going to finish up that other segment, the last four tile or the last tile with the last four movements of the BulaFit big tile, right? So then you've got everything. And then we're going to start to create the library so that you've got that movement library. And I think that you're making good progress. I know that if you're doing 50% of the stuff that we're putting in front of you, you're being successful. If you're doing 80, you're checking the boxes, right? So I'm really proud of you. We've got 3 weeks left of this challenge. So lock it in and then get some more learning done. I hope you hit the reset button. If you didn't last week, do it now and then just get ready to run. The last 3 weeks are going to be crucial. We're going to take a little break and then get going right again, right, Todd?
Absolutely. Kristi, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for all of you who joined. And we hope everybody has a great day. Remember that we have our training tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. We get to learn from Stacy Kelly, another one of our experts. So with that, thank everybody for being here. Have a great day. Bye now.
Bye.